Welcome to this special edition of the Real Deal Podcast, NBA Finals post game. Game one in the books. Lakers handled the business 116 to 98 in a game that frankly was not that close. Lakers led by as many as 30 points, 32 points. Thought it got up to in the third quarter. After being down by as many as 13 points in the first quarter, you have Anthony Davis leading the way, 34 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. LeBron James, a near triple double at 25, 12, and 9. This game was lost in the, first of all, this game was lost in the first quarter. Miami had a 13-point lead. LeBron goes to the bench, and they're down 23-10. Next thing you know, the Lakers cut the lead to 4 points when LeBron returns. It's 28-24. Caldwell Pope had hit a couple big threes. Role players made some big shots. Davis had 11 points in that first quarter, and the Lakers ended that first quarter on a 25-5, 21-5 run, and they were up. Before you know it, they were up 31-28 at the end of the first quarter, and then of course, Lakers never looked back from there. From there on, Miami, we know Miami for Miami to win this series, Bam Adebayo had to win that battle versus Anthony Davis. To me, that was the battle. Bam versus Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis, to me, that was going to be the difference in this series. As I, picked the Lakers to win in 7 games, because I thought, Anthony Davis would win that matchup ultimately and be the difference in the series. But Anthony Davis not just won that, didn't only win that matchup, he dominated that matchup. And, Miami, listen, I'm not going to overreact to this game from the standpoint of Laker role players are not going to be making threes. Like, you don't think that the Laker role players are going to be making threes constantly like that over the course of a 7-game series. Lakers shot 31% from three, well, 39% from three-point range. They go 15 to 38, 45% for the game, and most of the game they were over 50%, over 50. We're at 50-40 in terms of percentage, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage. Had a bad fourth quarter. Really didn't, the game was out of reach. That's Miami, got some guys in there, got some garbage points, and the Lakers kind of took their foot off the gas. But if the Lakers perimeter players are making shots, then Miami doesn't have a chance. That's all there's to it. If the Lakers perimeter players are making shots, there's no way Miami can win this series. With the Lakers, that you have to double Anthony Davis, you have to double LeBron James. I thought Miami did some good things in that first quarter. I thought they did a good job at building a wall around LeBron James when he would go to the hole. You saw Andre Iguodala get a block on him. You saw a couple times he had nowhere to go. Yeah, a couple times he had nowhere to go. When he got inside the paint, and it was they forced guys to make plays, forced guys to make shots, and they made shots. Danny Green made shots. Marcus Morris hit a couple threes. Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell Pope was great tonight. And the stat line doesn't even tell the story of how good he was. He really was. He really played an excellent game, floor all around as far as his defense and shot making and getting those 2 big threes. And Anthony Davis said it in the post game, in the post game interview. Those 2 threes he made in the first quarter were huge. Those were big shots because it looked like Miami was not going to run away with the game, but was going to get a substantial lead with LeBron going to the bench. And he had 10 points in that first quarter. Those are 10 big points in the first quarter coming from a role player, a guy who only averages about 10 points a game. I think he came into this series averaging about 9 points a game in the postseason. But he's played well in the postseason for the most part. He shot the ball very well. Danny Green hit a couple threes, made 3 threes. So, we know how streaky he could be. The one thing Miami, it's hard to. This game was such a a dominating performance by the Lakers. It's hard to pick out, there'll be adjustments being made. But the bottom line is, if Miami has to hope, and hopefully as basketball fans have to hope that Miami's healthy. Like they lose Dragic um, at halftime, they lose Bam Adebayo in the third quarter. Not to say that the result would have been any different in terms of Miami winning the game, but in terms of Adebayo goes out with the shoulder, Dragic goes out with the foot injury. Those guys aren't healthy. Then it could be a sweep. If those guys aren't healthy. Hopefully, those guys are healthy. If I'm Miami, I hope that those guys are healthy. I'm double teaming LeBron and I'm double teaming Anthony Davis all over the place. I'm not allowing those guys to play one on one at all. Now, LeBron, and I thought Miami did a decent job on LeBron for the most part. A lot of LeBron's points, LeBron had 25, but he had about 10 points in garbage time in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he picked up some. It seems like he was chasing a triple double, but Vogel left him in. Him and Davis played a lot of the fourth quarter. So he had about 8 or 10 points in the fourth quarter. So I thought they did a decent job at keeping LeBron out the paint, and I thought that, and then they had no rim protection at that point as well, and they didn't double him in the fourth quarter. Let him play one on one, and you can't let he's too big. He's just gonna post up and back down and overpower whoever's guarding him. If you let him allow him to go up there and play one on one. But again, I'm not going to overreact to this game whatsoever because game is game one. Game one's a fill out game, especially in the finals. Miami, we know Miami is not going to like lay down for anybody. You know how well coached they are. If they're healthy, and that's key. If Dragic comes back and if Adebayo comes back, they will be heard from in this series, without question. They will be heard from in this series, but they cannot. What they can't, but they cannot. They have to double. They have to make those guys make shots. Like that has to be the strategy. Like, okay, let's see if they can do it 3 more times. If Danny Green, if Caruso's, if the Kentarius Popes, if the Kyle Kuzmans, if Rondos, if those guys can consistently make 3-point shots, Lakers were shooting close to 50% from 3-point range at the half. When the game was in essence, it was over basically at the half. And then it got out of control in that third quarter. Um, but again, to me, the turning point in this game was that first quarter. Again, 23-10. LeBron goes to the bench. You have to win that rest of that quarter. You have to win the rest of that quarter if you're Miami. He came back with I think 137 left or 150 left, somewhere around that range. If you're Miami, when LeBron comes back, they have to be down. They have to be up by 20. Those minutes where LeBron and Anthony Davis are off the floor, those are minutes that Miami has to win if they want to win the series. And again, AD, as far as the game MVP, you could always get to LeBron and Anthony Davis. I thought the role players in those shots probably with a game MVP. But ultimately Anthony Davis was the best player on the floor. Plus 23, he had the highest plus minus rating out of any player on the court. At plus 23, they cut the lead to 4 from 13 to 4 with LeBron James out. So he and Kentavious KCP kept the Lakers in the game when it could have got ugly in the first quarter. With LeBron going out and with them being down by 13 points. He ends up with 34 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 block shots. And the one thing, moving forward that Miami cannot do from a tactical standpoint, they cannot go small against the Lakers. They cannot play small. Matter of fact, Bam Adebayo is going to have to play 40-plus minutes in this series. And also, he picked up those 2 fouls in the first quarter. He cannot get in foul trouble in this series. They have no chance if he gets in foul trouble. Bam Adebayo is by far their most important player in this series. He's been their best player. He was the best player in the Eastern Conference Finals. In this series, he is their most important player. Jimmy Butler played well. I think he had 23. Looking at his stats now, 23-5, and really, in that first half when the game was close in that first quarter, before it got away in the second quarter, really, really went at LeBron James. He really was in attack mode throughout the first quarter, throughout the first half. But the game got away to a point to where his points were meaningless. He had um, Butler had about 16 points at halftime. Looked like he was headed to one of those 30-point games, but again, got out of hand quickly in that second quarter. And again, there was a 45 point. And again, it's what we've seen in this down in the bubble. These scores and these games flip and turn quickly. We've seen how many blown leads. How many times have we seen teams up by double digits? By double digits, and then next thing you know, they're down up by 10, down by 15. So another just ridiculous turnaround in the bubble. You got a 45-point turnaround in this game. Miami's up by 13. The Lakers went up by as many as 32 and ended up winning it by 18. And basically, we were on cruise control the last quarter and a half. Um, Again, I thought the Laker role players were great. Um, KCP, uh, Caruso, Danny Green making shots, Rondo hitting a couple threes, and giving his and as Rondo had about five four only had four assists, but still he had some productive minutes when he got in. Had, getting hit a three, made one three, and again, as the Laker role players are making shots, they're unbeatable. They're making shots because you know what you're going to get out of Davis and LeBron. You're going to get anywhere from 55 to 65 points. You can book it, but they're going to put up anywhere from probably going to get 60 between them. But you cannot allow those other guys to get off. You can't allow KCP. You can't allow Danny Green. You can't allow Caldwell Pope. You can't allow those guys to get off. Um, Lakers are going to go big. They're gonna make Miami adjust to them. They are not. You will not see the Lakers go too small in this series. To be honest with you, they're gonna. I think the Lakers are gonna continue to play big, and force Miami. They're gonna force Miami to go big. I don't. Miami cannot play small in this series, easy because they have no one remotely. You play small and you have Adebayo off the floor. I mean, Davis is going to just go nuts. Like there's no handling him down there. And in the fourth quarter, I expect that most of these games will be close down in the fourth quarter. Adebayo has to be on Anthony Davis. It's just that simple. He has to be on Anthony Davis in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter of this game. Now this game doesn't count from that standpoint because the game was out of whack. Adebayo, of course, left the game with the injury, but most of these games are going to be close for the most part. Most of these games probably going to come down to the last 3 or 4 minutes. I don't see the Lakers. Listen, lot of people are going to overreact. I can hear sweeps. Does Miami belong here? You're going to hear all types of nonsense. Don't fall for it. It is one game. These games are separate entities amongst themselves in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals. I've seen teams get smoked in game one, win the series. I've seen it before. I've seen it many times before. And remember this from a LeBron James perspective. He came to this game being 1-8 in game ones over the course of his career. The one time he did win a game one in 2011 against Dallas Mavericks, they lost the series. So it's game one. Um, and coming to this series, I thought Anthony Davis would be the difference. Thought that in order for the Lakers to win a champion win this series, Anthony Davis had to dominate, and Anthony Davis did dominate. Was dominant without question. Was the best player on the floor, despite LeBron James' near triple double. Um, so, hopefully the Heat are healthy. Um, I anticipate that you'll probably Kendrick. If you want to look for bright spots for the Miami Heat, Kendrick Nunn had 18 points. So who knows how healthy Dragic is? Who knows how serious that injury is with Dragic? You're going to probably see a lot of Kendrick Nunn moving forward, or see more of Kendrick Nunn moving forward. as the series goes along. Um, so that was a bright spot for the Heat. Again, you had Butler. Adebayo again was Duncan Robinson was scoreless, so the Lakers did a tremendous job at defending him. 27 minutes, had no points, 0 for 3 from 3-point range, so they did their job with him. And Tyson Hero had 14 points, but again, the game was well in doubt before he started scoring, going on a little scoring barrage. Again, this game had potential. I thought first quarter, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a championship fight. 31-28, both teams hit each other, and then the Lakers in that second quarter just exploded and never looked back, and that was the game. A lot of people are going to discount Miami. I'm not going to disrespect Miami at all. They will be back if they're healthy, especially if Adebayo is healthy. Um, this will be a competitive series. Dragic too. I mean, those are two. You know, I can make a case. You can make a case that during the playoffs, those have been their two best offensive players. Dragic has been their leading scorer, and Adebayo has been their best all-around player. So, it's essential that those guys are healthy going into game two. Remember, every other day. So, which surprised that Davis and LeBron played as many minutes in the fourth quarter as they did. I thought Vogel could have took him out 3 or 4 minutes earlier. I mean, that game was over with. I really thought that he could have took him out 3 or 4 minutes early. Um, I guess the fear of the 3-point shot. Not to take him out to put him back in. I guess he didn't want to do that, but every other day at this point, thought that he would have took him out sooner, but it ultimately didn't make any difference. Miami falls 116-98. Game one of the NBA Finals is in the books. We'll see what transpires in Game two. I look for Miami again. I wouldn't I wouldn't change the game plan as far as how my approach to Davis or LeBron James. I'm not allowing those guys to play one-on-one basketball, especially if one of them was off the court. There's no way those. I'm gonna make those both of those guys facilitators, especially Anthony Davis. I mean, when LeBron's off the court, I'm making Anthony Davis he's gonna have to get 5, 6, 7 assists. I'm gonna make him a passer. There's no way I'm letting that guy play one-on-one, and I think you'll see a lot of that in the game in game two. Um, Again, the zone really was not a factor because the game got out of hand. So the zone, I can't gauge the effectiveness of the zone because the game by the time Miami started invoking it, the game was kind of out of hand. And the way the Lakers shot the ball, didn't the zone was a non-factor. The way the Lakers shot the ball, Lakers controlled the paint, um, dominated the rebounds. They out rebounded Miami in this game, 54-36. Um, yeah, 54-36. They shot 45% for the game and had points in the paint. But Miami did, win the points in the paint. But again, Lakers um, dominated from the standpoint of, made 4 more threes, and also more importantly, they outshot them from the free throw line, 25-11. Again, you have Anthony Davis just basically living at the line, going 10 for 10, in which he was amongst top 5 in the league in terms of free throws attempted. Again, I hope that this is a series. I really do. But I hope if Miami's healthy, this will be a series. They're not. Miami will not. There's no way Miami is going to roll over. I hope they're healthy though. Especially Adebayo. Adebayo, he is their most valuable player. He is their by far the most important player in this series for the Miami Heat. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast, NBA post game. I will see you Friday. I'm out.